what is up, guys? Jacob 101 back for another pet video. In today's video, I'm gonna be covering the top 3 best beginner pets. 2 of them are reptiles and one of them is an amphibian. The reason why I chose these 3 is because they're easy to keep, and I'll explain along the way. So let's go. Alright, so the first pet that I recommend for beginners are and also these pets could also be for children too. I'd say maybe age around 6 or 7, around that age. And the first one that I recommend is the Anole. The reason why I recommend this one for a beginner pet is because they don't need you could throw them in a 5-gallon tank and they'll be good for their whole life. They don't get big. You see, this is how big they get. They're really tiny. And the budget on food isn't that much either. They don't eat much. A couple crickets per week. Or you could give them small crickets every day, but I give them 2 mealworms every, so like I give them today and then skip. So I would give them and then skip a day, cause so the price on it, the price for food is low. The price for not the price, the space that it's gonna be using is really low, and the heat it doesn't. You could you could either go to your local store, or you could go to your local pet store and get a lamp and put in. You don't have to put in a specific. You just throw in a cheap light bulb. So yeah, so this one, price range, really cheap. Probably the cheapest out of all of them. This is the cheapest out of all of them. So alright, let's go to the next one. Alright guys, the second pet that I recommend for beginners are, well, crested geckos and maybe other small species of gecko. But I would recommend the crested gecko because, again, space is low. You could but you can't throw. Well, you could put them in a 10-gallon aquarium, but I would recommend a vivarium. They're a little pricey, but it's because they're climbing animals. So, well, I mean, you could put them in a 10-gallon tank, but so again, space is low. For an enclosure, you could go either way, vivarium or a regular aquarium. Heating, they don't need any special lights. Just throw in a heat lamp and about what? For heat, they need what? Maybe they need 80, 70, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So, and food, you feed them. They say to feed them, it's like a powder and you put it in water. They don't eat that. I've had crested geckos for years and they don't. And their diet, I would recommend crickets, and if you can get them to eat worms, then go for it. Yep. So this is the crested gecko. And for price range, this is a little pricey. You're looking at $60. For the crested gecko, I don't know other geckos, but for the crested gecko, you're looking at $60. So yeah, this is a pet that I would recommend for beginners, absolute beginners, or small children, like I mentioned earlier. All right, let's go to the next one. Alrighty, guys. So we're here for the final the last pet that I recommend for beginners or kids. So, you probably remember from my last video, the pet tour, the white tree frog. Space, I have him in a 5-gallon aquarium, and he's been there fine. I've had him for a while. Heat, nothing special, just a regular heat lamp and a regular Walmart light bulb. And food, like all amphibians, anything that fits in his mouth. And price range, 20 bucks. So, he's not that. Yep. So all these pets that I mentioned, they're good for beginners because they're not quick. They don't run. They're not fast. So if you cause some reptiles you would have struggled or a hard time trying to handle it. All these animals that I just these 3 animals that I showed you, they're no hard time to handle. Crested gecko, just set him on my palm of my hand, and he just sits there. The anole, I just put him on my palm of my hand, he just sits there. And the frog you just saw, I just had to move my hand a little bit. So yeah, I guess this wraps up today's video. Like I said in my previous video, if you'd like to see a care sheet of any of these animals, I mean, they're not all for beginners, but I mean, I can give you a care sheet on YouTube. I've seen videos. They're not 100% accurate. So, if you want to hear a how-to care video for an animal, I would recommend. I'm not saying not to watch the other YouTubers. Like the other YouTubers, they're doing the best they can. But I'm gonna tell you guys what I know and what made me successful. So if you guys would like to hear a care sheet, want me to make a video about a care sheet of any animal you saw on my channel, just write it down in the comment section. I will reply to you. So yeah, this wraps up today's video. Hope you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new. Peace out.